You've just joined us. A very good morning. You're listening to BBC Radio Solent. Jon Cuthill with you on this Friday morning. Now, it's not any old Friday, of course. It's Friday the 13th, so it sounds like an ideal day to be talking witches, of course. Now, a blue plaque to honour the life of a certain Gerald Gardner, known as the father of modern witchcraft, is being unveiled in Christchurch. Nowadays, his form of paganism, known as the Gardnerian witchcraft, is practiced by covens all over the world. I've probably got that horribly wrong, but luckily there's an expert in the studio, Jon Belham-Payne, from the Centre for Pagan Studies. Was I near the ball with any of that at all?
No, I think you were almost perfect.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
So tell me about this gentleman, Gerald Gardner. Who was he? What did he do?
Okay, Gerald was a former British civil servant that worked out in the Far East, and while he was there, he developed an interest in things esoterical. When he came back to this country in 1939, he moved into a house, which is the house that we're putting the blue plaque on today in Highcliffe. And Gerald joined the local Rosicrucian theatre there, where he met a group of people that practiced witchcraft, and they were known as the New Forest Coven. And Gerald was initiated into the New Forest Coven, and Gerald took a lot of very ancient papers, and don't forget, in 1939, witchcraft was illegal. So actually until 1951 it was illegal. And while Gerald was there, he wrote this particular book, which I know is not great radio, but he wrote this book. This is the most famous book of witchcraft in the world, called the Book of Shadows. And every witch now that's initiated copies parts of this book so it's a sacred text that's carried on. So the reason that we're doing this plaque is it would be Gerald's 130th birthday today. Quite correctly, it is Friday the 13th. It's also a full moon, so it's perfect one. And so Gerald is one of those people that has been recognised nationally now, because his name is listed in the National Biography, National List of Biography, which is part of the Oxford Dictionary. The Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, that's it.
Yeah.
Complicated title.
Do you think witches are misunderstood? Because you must be fed up of people going, right, did he have a broomstick? No. Did he have a cat? No. Has he got a cauldron? No.
I've got all three.
Get away!
Yeah. Actually, I've got several. Because I also did own, I was bequeathed the world's most famous collection of witchcraft items, which has several broomsticks in it, several cauldrons, and my cat isn't black. She's a fluffy grey moggy.
But it's interesting that you mentioned the New Forest Coven as well.
Very famous.
People who know the New Forest will go to Burley, I think it is, and you can get a cream tea and a stuffed witch if you like. Yeah. And is that where that connection comes from? Why tourists are always going, why have they got witches in Burley?
More or less. The south of England, people talk about other places, but the south of England, particularly between here and the Sussex Downs, it's actually the craft, which we call it the craft. The craft is actually in the DNA of the county. It's in everywhere that you look. If you know where to look and what to look for, it's actually a natural part of the south of England. And
how big a deal is it nowadays? Because people, I guess, think of it in terms of an historic sort of society. And as you said, it was illegal until the 1950s in this country.
Yeah.
How big a deal is it nowadays?
It's enormous. I've just come back from doing a series of talks in Florida and New Orleans, and we had one particular weekend at Lake Placid where the whole weekend was just dedicated to followers of Gerald Gardner, and like Christ, he wasn't a Christian, but his followers became Christians. And with Gerald Gardner was like me. He was initiated into a traditional form of witchcraft, but his followers became Gardnerians. So, and this Gardnerian movement in America especially is enormous. I think probably brought about by Bewitched originally, and then the various TV programs and stuff. It became very popular.
And finally, as far as having a plaque to mark the spot in Highcliffe, how big a deal is that?
I think it's an enormous deal. This is the second one only to celebrate the life of a witch.
Yeah.
The first one was last year in Brighton. And that was to his high priestess, Doreen Valiente, who was the person that left me the collection.
Oh,
that collection itself and everything else is about to become a museum in the south too.
Absolutely fascinating. So it's taking place in Highcliffe today, Friday the 13th, full moon.
Absolutely.
All you want is a bit of thunder and lightning. We might get that as well later on. It'll be perfect.
Okay.
Lovely to meet you. That's Jon Belham-Payne there, founder and director of the Centre for Pagan Studies.
What's happening in the south?
BBC Radio Solent.
Time for the guide. Here's Sam.
The Waterlooville Music Festival is a week of performances by local and school groups, and it finishes with a large